My name is Samantha Johnson, but everyone calls me Sam. I'm 28 years old, and after saving for 7 long years, I finally bought my dream house in the suburbs. Standing on the porch with my parents and younger sister Brittany, I never imagined they were secretly plotting to take it from me. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife could. The family I trusted most was about to teach me the hardest lesson of my life. If you're watching this and know what it's like to be betrayed by your own family, drop a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know how I turned this painful situation into my biggest blessing. Growing up in the Johnson family meant learning early that life wasn't fair. My father, Richard, was a stern accountant who demanded excellence, while my mother, Elizabeth, worked as an elementary school teacher. They both had clear favorites, and it wasn't me. My sister Brittany, 4 years younger, was the golden child from the moment she was born. While most parents claim to love their children equally, mine never bothered with that pretense. Brittany had the kind of effortless charm that made people want to protect and pamper her. With her delicate features and seemingly fragile personality, everyone rushed to shield her from the world's harshness. Sam is strong, my mother would say whenever I faced challenges. She can handle it herself. Meanwhile, Brittany received endless support and guidance through even the smallest obstacles. This pattern formed the foundation of our childhood. When report cards came home, my straight A's would receive a cursory nod, while Brittany's B's and C's were celebrated with ice cream outings and effusive praise for her trying her best. The message was clear: I was expected to excel, while Brittany was applauded simply for participating. By 13, I understood the unwritten family rules. My achievements were the baseline expectation, never extraordinary. My struggles were character-building opportunities, never reasons for sympathy. I learned to solve problems independently because assistance wasn't forthcoming. Sam, help your sister with her homework became a daily refrain. I became Brittany's unpaid tutor, tasked with ensuring her academic survival while maintaining my own perfect grades. If her performance improved, she received the credit. If it didn't, I was somehow failing my responsibility. The financial disparity became obvious during high school. While Brittany received new clothes each season and the latest technology, I was told to appreciate the value of money. At 16, I started working weekends at a local grocery store, balancing schoolwork, tutoring Brittany, and 20 hours of employment. "This is good for you," my father insisted when I expressed exhaustion. "You're learning responsibility." Meanwhile, Brittany was encouraged to focus solely on her social life, which apparently constituted important developmental work. My senior year, I earned a partial scholarship to State University. It covered 60% of my tuition, an achievement my classmates' parents celebrated enthusiastically. My parents simply asked about the remaining 40%. "I guess you'll have to work more hours," my father concluded. "College isn't cheap, and we need to save for Brittany's education. She might not get any scholarships." That summer, I took 2 jobs, working 60-hour weeks between a coffee shop and retail position. I continued this schedule throughout college, extending my degree by a year because I couldn't maintain full course loads while working so much. Meanwhile, my parents established a generous college fund for Brittany, who remained undecided about whether higher education interested her. Despite everything, I loved my sister. Brittany hadn't created the dynamic, she merely benefited from it. Sometimes I glimpsed awareness in her eyes when our treatment diverged too dramatically. But she never refused advantages or advocated for fairness. Why would she? The system worked perfectly for her. After college, I secured an entry-level position with a software development company. The starting salary wasn't impressive, but the potential for growth existed. I shared a cramped apartment with 2 roommates, saved aggressively, and pursued additional certifications to enhance my marketability. "You should help Brittany find a job," my mother suggested during one of our monthly calls. Brittany had attempted college for 3 semesters before dropping out, declaring it not her thing. She'd cycled through retail positions, quitting whenever responsibilities increased or managers provided critical feedback. I did help forwarding job listings and offering to review her resume. Brittany usually ignored these efforts or promised to get to it later. Her employment remained sporadic, supplemented by generous parental subsidies that were never explicitly acknowledged. My career advanced steadily through dedication and strategic moves. I changed companies twice in 5 years, each time securing substantial salary increases. By 25, I was a senior developer with a respected tech firm, earning more than both my parents combined. This financial success became my armor concrete proof I'd succeeded, despite not because of their parenting. "You've always been so independent," my mother would comment, as though my self-sufficiency had been an innate personality trait, rather than a necessary adaptation to their neglect. I maintained monthly dinners with my parents and occasional shopping trips with Brittany, keeping emotional distance while performing expected familial duties. I didn't hate them. I simply recognized our relationship limitations and protected myself accordingly. When Brittany turned 24, she was still living at home, working part-time at a boutique, and dating a series of questionable men. My parents never pressured her to move out or contribute financially to the household. They remained her safety net, emotional support system, and financial backers wrapped in one package. Meanwhile, I had begun dreaming of something that would represent true adulthood and independence, owning my home. Not just any apartment or starter house, but something substantial that reflected my journey and success. A place entirely mine where every decision from wall color to furniture arrangement would be exclusively my choice. This dream became my new focus, guiding every financial decision. I maximized retirement contributions for tax advantages, maintained a spotless credit score, and researched first-time homebuyer programs. I tracked housing markets and interest rates with religious dedication, preparing for the perfect moment to make my move. 7 years of disciplined saving had positioned me well. I had enough for a substantial down payment in the suburban area I targeted. I was ready to find the physical manifestation of all I'd achieved through years of persistent work. I was ready to purchase not just a house, but tangible proof that I'd overcome the limitations placed upon me. The dream of homeownership had fueled my ambition for years. I wanted more than just shelter. I wanted a sanctuary that represented everything I'd accomplished. After researching neighborhoods for months, I developed specific criteria: at least 4 bedrooms for home office space and future possibilities, a yard where I could garden, and a reasonable commute to my office. Every weekend for 6 months, I viewed properties, learning about foundation issues, roof lifespans, and HVAC systems. I became conversational in real estate terminology, understanding the difference between appraisal value and market value, fixed versus adjustable rate mortgages, and closing cost negotiations. Then one Sunday afternoon, I found it. A 2-story colonial with 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a backyard that caught the morning sunlight perfectly. The previous owners had maintained it, meticulously updating the kitchen 5 years prior and installing new windows throughout. The master bedroom featured a small sitting area with built-in bookshelves. I could immediately envision myself there, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise through large east-facing windows. Walking through each room, I mentally placed furniture and planned color schemes. The second bedroom would become my home office, the third a guest room, and the fourth a multi-purpose space for exercise and projects. The basement was partially finished, offering additional possibilities. "This is significantly under your approved mortgage amount," my realtor noted. "You could offer competitively and still have budget for any immediate changes you want to make." I submitted an offer that afternoon, slightly above asking price with limited contingencies. After brief negotiations, the sellers accepted. The inspection revealed minor issues easily addressable. Within 30 days, I scheduled closing. I shared the news with my parents during our monthly dinner, expecting the usual underwhelmed reaction to my achievements. "I found a house," I announced as my mother served dessert. "The closing is next month." To my surprise, both parents looked genuinely interested. "That's wonderful news," my mother said, reaching to squeeze my hand. "Where is it?" I described the property, showing pictures on my phone. My father asked thoughtful questions about the mortgage terms and interest rate, nodding approvingly at my answers. "You've done your research," he commented. "Sounds like you got a good deal." Their unexpected enthusiasm continued as I scrolled through more photos. "The kitchen cabinets could use updating," my mother observed, "and that wallpaper in the dining room has to go." "I could help with that," my father offered. "No sense paying contractors for simple work we could handle." Their sudden interest and offers of assistance caught me off guard. Throughout my life, I'd handled major decisions and transitions without their support. Now faced with their unexpected engagement, I felt both suspicious and hopeful. Maybe purchasing a house had finally earned their respect. Maybe they were finally seeing me as the successful adult I'd become. That would be great, I replied cautiously. There are several projects I'd like to tackle before moving in. Just tell us when, my mother said warmly. We'd love to help you make this house a home. Signing the closing documents was surreal. After years of planning and saving, I was committing to the largest purchase of my life. The down payment represented countless extra hours worked and social events declined. Every sacrificed vacation and delayed gratification materialized in the cashier's check I handed over. Congratulations, Ms. Johnson, the closing agent said, passing me a set of keys. The house is officially yours. Walking through the empty house afterward, keys clutched tightly, I felt overwhelming pride. This achievement was entirely mine, earned through perseverance, despite minimal support. I'd proven wrong anyone who doubted me, especially myself during moments of exhaustion or frustration. My parents arrived the following weekend, dressed in work clothes and carrying supplies. My father brought his extensive tool collection, while my mother arrived with paint samples and design magazines. Over the next 2 months, we spent every weekend transforming the house. My father replaced outdated light fixtures and helped me install ceiling fans in the bedrooms. Together, we painted every room, choosing warm neutrals for common areas and more personalized colors for private spaces. My mother's unexpected talent for finding affordable statement pieces helped furnish the large space on my carefully managed budget. Working alongside my parents created a new dynamic between us. My father sought my opinion on technical decisions, acknowledging my research and preferences. My mother respected my aesthetic choices, offering suggestions rather than directives. For perhaps the first time, they treated me as an equal, a fellow adult with valid perspectives. You've got a good eye for this, my mother commented, as we arranged furniture in the living room. The house already reflects your personality. We're proud of you, Sam, my father said one evening as we admired our completed kitchen renovation. Not everyone your age could accomplish this. Their approval, so long sought and rarely received, felt validating. Perhaps our relationship was evolving, growing into something healthier. Perhaps they were finally seeing me not as the perpetual supporting character to Brittany's starring role, but as a successful individual worthy of recognition. The renovation process fostered genuine conversations between us. Over paint cans and takeout dinners, I learned about my parents' early marriage struggles and career aspirations. They shared stories I'd never heard, revealing dimensions to their personalities I hadn't previously recognized. By the time I officially moved in, the house had been transformed. Fresh paint, updated fixtures, and strategic furniture placement had modernized the space while preserving its inherent character. My parents had contributed significantly to this transformation, investing weekends and sharing skills I hadn't known they possessed. You always have a project to work on with a house this size, my father advised as they prepared to leave after helping me unpack. Don't try to do everything at once. And have us over for dinner once you're settled, my mother added, hugging me with unusual warmth. I stood on the porch waving as they drove away, feeling an unfamiliar optimism about our relationship. Perhaps the house represented not just my independence, but a new foundation for family connections based on mutual respect rather than predetermined roles. That optimistic feeling lasted exactly 3 weeks. The initial disruption arrived unexpectedly on a rainy Tuesday evening. I had just arrived home from work, mentally planning a quiet evening of laundry and meal prep, when the doorbell rang. Opening the door revealed my sister Brittany. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, a large suitcase beside her. James and I broke up, she announced, pushing past me into the foyer. It was awful, Sam. I need a place to stay. James was Brittany's boyfriend of 8 months, a marketing executive she'd met at a friend's wedding. Their relationship had progressed quickly, with Brittany moving into his downtown apartment after just 2 months. My parents had expressed concerns about the rushed timeline, but as usual, ultimately supported Brittany's decision with financial assistance for new furniture and decorative items for their place. What happened? I asked, following her into my living room where she'd already collapsed dramatically onto the sofa. He's such a jerk, she said, wiping her eyes. He complained that I wasn't contributing enough financially. Can you believe that he makes 3 times what I do at that stupid boutique? Why should I pay equal rent? This revelation didn't surprise me. Brittany had always expected financial accommodation, whether from our parents or romantic partners. The concept of equitable contribution remained foreign to her. So you left, just like that. I questioned, calculating how her presence might impact my carefully structured routine. I had to, she insisted. Mom and Dad agree with me. They said I could stay with you until I figure things out. The casual way she mentioned our parents deciding my hospitality without consultation sent a familiar chill through me. Some patterns never changed. They suggested that, without asking me first, I kept my voice measured, determined not to spiral into old resentments. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? You have this huge house all to yourself. Brittany gestured around the living room. 4 bedrooms for one person is ridiculous anyway. Before I could formulate a response that balanced boundary setting with compassion, my phone rang. My mother's name illuminated the screen. Samantha, did Brittany arrive safely? The weather looked threatening. The conversation that followed confirmed my suspicions. My parents had indeed instructed Brittany to come to my house, assuming my agreement was unnecessary. They had already packed her essential belongings and promised to deliver the remainder later that week. It's just temporary, my mother assured me, until she processes this breakup and finds a new apartment. You know how sensitive Brittany is. She needs family support right now. Reluctantly, I established conditions for Brittany's stay. She would occupy the smallest bedroom, contribute $200 monthly toward utilities, and share household responsibilities. My sister agreed with suspicious readiness, promising to be the perfect roommate. Reality diverged from these promises within days. Brittany's belongings spread beyond her designated bedroom, invading common areas, with scattered shoes, discarded clothing, and half-empty beverage containers. My previously immaculate kitchen regularly featured unwashed dishes and abandoned food preparation messes. The bathroom we shared became cluttered with countless beauty products that permanently claimed all available surface space. When I addressed these issues, Brittany responded with theatrical apologies and temporary improvements that never lasted more than 24 hours. The promised financial contribution never materialized, with each approaching due date generating a new excuse about delayed paychecks or unexpected expenses. "I'll definitely pay double next month," became her standard refrain, a promise we both knew would remain unfulfilled. My parents began visiting more frequently, ostensibly to check on Brittany's well-being. These visits increasingly felt like inspections of my homeownership adequacy. My mother reorganized my kitchen cabinets without permission, explaining her system was more efficient. My father questioned my lawn maintenance schedule and fertilizer choices, offering unsolicited advice about proper landscaping methods. The guest room would function better as a proper bedroom, my mother commented during one visit. Brittany needs a dedicated space to rebuild her life. This is a temporary arrangement, I reminded her, noticing how my parents had begun referring to the room as Brittany's room rather than the guest room. 4 weeks into this arrangement, I returned home to discover Brittany had invited friends over for what appeared to be an impromptu party. 6 people I'd never met occupied my living room, drinking wine on white furniture, music blaring through the speaker system I rarely used myself. "You should have asked permission," I stated after her friends departed, leaving behind rings on wooden surfaces and a wine stain on my area rug. "Don't be so uptight," Brittany replied, scrolling through her phone rather than meeting my eyes. "What's the point of having this huge place if you never entertain? I'm actually making your house more lively." The following weekend, my parents arrived unannounced while I was deep cleaning the aftermath of Brittany's continued presence. My father carried a toolbox, my mother several shopping bags. "We thought we'd help spruce up Brittany's room," my mother announced, heading upstairs without waiting for my response. I followed, discovering them examining the guest room with evaluative expressions. "These curtains don't provide enough privacy," my mother declared, "and this furniture arrangement wastes the natural light." "I can mount a television on that wall," my father added, measuring the space with his tape measure. Brittany mentioned wanting one in her room. "This isn't her room," I stated firmly, "and any changes should be discussed with me first. I'm the homeowner." Both parents turned toward me with identical expressions of disapproval. We're just trying to make Brittany comfortable during this difficult transition, my mother replied. There's no need to be territorial. Family supports each other, my father added. You have so much, and Brittany has lost everything. Their perspective staggered me. Brittany had lost an 8-month relationship in an apartment she hadn't financially contributed toward. I had spent years working multiple jobs, sacrificing social opportunities and personal comforts to afford this house. Yet somehow, I was being portrayed as selfish for expecting basic consideration in my own home. That evening, I initiated a difficult conversation with Brittany, explaining that her stay needed a defined endpoint. I suggested a 2-month timeline offering to help her research affordable apartments within her budget. Are you seriously kicking me out? She demanded, immediately defensive. After everything I've been through, I'm not kicking you out. I'm establishing a reasonable time frame for what was supposed to be temporary assistance, I clarified. 2 months is generous. Brittany stormed out immediately, calling our parents. Within 30 minutes, I received multiple text messages from both expressing disappointment in my callous treatment of my sister during her darkest time. The situation deteriorated further when I discovered Brittany had used my master bathroom while I was at work, leaving wet towels on my bedroom floor, and using my expensive skincare products. When confronted, she claimed the guest bathroom shower pressure was insufficient, as though this justified invading my private space. Our arguments increased in frequency and intensity. Brittany routinely dismissed my concerns as obsessive and controlling, while I struggled to maintain reasonable boundaries within my own home. My parents consistently sided with her during these conflicts, suggesting I needed to lighten up and remember what family means. The beautiful sanctuary I had created was becoming a battleground. The peace I had earned through years of diligent work dissolved into constant tension. My home no longer felt like mine, and the realization that my family considered my ownership negotiable cut deeper than I cared to admit. The breaking point arrived after a week-long business trip to the Chicago office. Exhausted from intensive client meetings and delayed flights, I returned home late Thursday evening, eager for the comfort of familiar surroundings and my own bed. The house that greeted me bore little resemblance to the one I'd left. Entering through the front door, I immediately noticed rearranged furniture in the living room. The sectional sofa faced a different wall, my carefully curated bookshelves had been partially emptied, and unfamiliar decorative items cluttered previously minimalist surfaces. Moving through the house in growing disbelief, I discovered similar changes throughout the main floor. The dining room now featured a gaudy chandelier in place of my modern pendant light. The guest bathroom displayed an explosion of pink accessories and novelty shower curtain adorned with cartoon characters. The true shock awaited upstairs. Opening the door to my master bedroom, I froze in complete disorientation. My furniture remained, but all personal items had vanished. The bedding was unfamiliar bright floral patterns replacing my preferred neutral linens. The nightstands displayed Brittany's family photos and fashion magazines. The walk-in closet contained her clothing, jewelry, and shoes with no trace of my belongings. Rushing to check the guest bedroom she'd been occupying, I discovered my possessions haphazardly transferred there. My clothing hung in the smaller closet, or lay folded in stacks on the bed. Personal items from my bathroom vanity were jumbled together in plastic storage bins. Family photos and meaningful keepsakes had been carelessly boxed, some frames showing cracked glass from rough handling. Before I could fully process this violation, the front door opened, announcing Brittany's arrival. Heavy footsteps on the stairs suggested she wasn't alone. "Sam, you're back early." Brittany appeared in the doorway, feigning surprise, despite having access to my detailed travel itinerary. Behind her stood our parents' expressions, simultaneously defensive and challenging. "What have you done?" My voice emerged surprisingly calm, despite the rage and betrayal consuming me. "Why are my things in the guest room?" "We've been meaning to discuss this with you." My mother began adopting her elementary teacher tone reserved for difficult children. "Brittany needs more stability right now, and the master suite is better suited for her needs." "Better suited? This is my house. That's my bedroom," I stated, struggling to comprehend their audacity. "Don't be so dramatic," my father interjected. "It's just a bedroom. The house has plenty of them." "We thought you'd be more understanding." My mother continued, disappointment evident in her voice. Brittany needs a proper space to rebuild her life, and you're hardly ever here with all your business trips. Brittany stepped forward, twirling a strand of hair around her finger in a gesture unchanged since childhood. The bigger room makes more sense for me. I have more clothes, and I actually spend time here, unlike you, who's always working. The absurdity of her justification momentarily rendered me speechless. My workaholic tendencies had financed this house. My absence was directly connected to maintaining the career that paid the mortgage. This isn't a democracy, I finally managed. This is my house. I paid for it. My name is on the mortgage indeed. I decide who stays where, and right now I'm deciding that all of you need to leave. My mother gasped dramatically. You can't possibly mean that. I absolutely do. I confirmed, fighting to maintain composure. Tonight, now, take Brittany and go. You'd throw your own sister out with nowhere to go. My father's voice rose indignantly. After everything we've done to help you with this house. His phrasing captured my attention. Everything you've done to help me, or everything you've done to prepare it for Brittany. Their exchanged glances confirmed my sudden suspicion. My mother's nervous throat clearing provided additional confirmation before she spoke. We might as well be honest, Samantha. Your father and I have been discussing this for a while. This house is simply too large for one person, especially someone so focused on career advancement. Brittany needs stability and family support. You planned this from the beginning, I realized aloud. The sudden interest in my house hunting the help with renovations. You were setting this up all along. Neither denied it. Instead, my father adopted his business negotiation posture, straightening his shoulders and assuming an authoritative tone. Be reasonable, Samantha. Brittany needs this house more than you do. You're financially secure and independent. You could easily find an apartment closer to your office, something more suitable for a single professional. More suitable, I echoed, incredulous. I bought this house. I earned it. I wanted it. Sometimes what we want isn't what's best for the family, my mother stated with infuriating calm. Brittany has always struggled with independence. This house would provide her the stability she needs while allowing your father and I to help her transition to full adulthood. The pieces aligned with devastating clarity. Their unexpected enthusiasm about my home purchased the extensive help with renovations, the increasingly frequent visits. They had never intended for this to remain my house. In their minds, my achievement was merely a convenient stepping stone to solving the perpetual problem of Brittany's dependence. Let me be absolutely clear, I stated, surprising myself with my steady voice. This house belongs to me. Only me. Brittany is not staying here any longer, and neither of you is welcome until you recognize and respect that fact. My father's expression hardened. If that's your attitude, you leave us no choice. Either you accommodate your sister's needs in this house that has plenty of room for both of you, or you can consider yourself no longer part of this family. You disown me for refusing to give my house to Brittany. The question emerged barely above a whisper. We'd be acknowledging that you've chosen property over family, my mother corrected, as though this semantic distinction somehow justified their ultimatum. In that moment, facing their unified betrayal, something fundamental shifted within me. The desperate need for their approval that had driven me throughout childhood finally shattered. I saw with perfect clarity the conditional nature of their love, the impossibility of ever truly earning their equal regard. Get out, I said quietly. All of you, now. They departed with theatrical displays of disappointment and promises that I'd regret this decision when I calmed down. Brittany made a show of gathering essential belongings, lamenting the cruelty of her only sister. After locking the door behind them, I stood in my disrupted living room, surrounded by visible evidence of how little my family respected my boundaries, achievements, or personhood. The house I'd worked so hard to purchase had become the battlefield for a war I never asked to fight, the physical manifestation of my family's twisted dynamics. That night, sleeping in the guest room surrounded by my displaced possessions, I made a decision. This violation would not stand. My house would remain mine, and the boundaries I established would be enforced regardless of the emotional cost. The morning after my family's dramatic exit, I channeled my hurt and anger into decisive action. First, I contacted a locksmith to change every exterior door lock immediately. By noon, new keys secured my property against unauthorized access. Next, I researched home security systems, ordering one featuring doorbell cameras and motion sensors, scheduled for installation the following day. Most importantly, I called Patricia Wilson, a highly recommended real estate attorney, whose firm specialized in property disputes. During our consultation, I explained the situation in detail, documenting the gradual encroachment and ultimate attempted takeover of my home. "Let me be absolutely clear, Ms. Johnson," Patricia stated after reviewing my mortgage documentation and property deed. "You are the sole legal owner of this property. Your parents and sister have absolutely no claim to it, regardless of any verbal family agreements they might reference. What about the work they did helping renovate? Could they claim partial ownership based on labor or materials?" I asked, anticipating potential arguments. "Not without documented agreements or significant financial contributions with clear paper trails," she assured me. "Helping paint walls or install fixtures doesn't create ownership interest. Based on what you've described, their assistance would legally be considered gifts, not investments." Patricia helped me draft a formal notice prohibiting Brittany, my mother, and my father from entering my property without explicit written permission. The document outlined potential legal consequences for trespassing or attempted unauthorized access. "This probably won't be necessary," she acknowledged, "but having formal documentation strengthens your position if further issues arise." Armed with legal clarity, I methodically reclaimed my space. I returned my belongings to the master bedroom, restoring my sanctuary. I boxed Brittany's remaining possessions, documenting each item with photographs, before storing everything in the garage. I reinstalled my original light fixtures and returned furniture to my preferred arrangements. 4 days after the confrontation, a text message from my mother appeared. "We need to collect the rest of Brittany's things. We'll come by tomorrow afternoon." I responded with calm precision. "Brittany's belongings are boxed and in the garage. I'll place them on the driveway at 5 p.m. tomorrow. You may collect them then. Do not attempt to enter the house." The outraged response came minutes later. "This is ridiculous. We're family. We need to discuss the situation like adults." "There's nothing to discuss," I replied. "The ownership of my home is not negotiable." Anticipating potential drama during the property exchange, I arranged for a friend to be present as a witness. I also contacted the non-emergency police line explaining the situation and requesting a brief presence during the scheduled pickup time, citing concerns about potential confrontation. At precisely 5 o'clock the following afternoon, I placed the labeled boxes on the driveway. 20 minutes later, my parents' SUV appeared, followed by an unfamiliar pickup truck, driven by a man I assumed was my father's friend, recruited to help with heavy lifting. The police cruiser parked discreetly across the street, created visible tension in my parents' posture as they exited their vehicle. My father immediately approached me, face flushed with anger. "You called the police on your own family. Have you completely lost your mind?" "I requested their presence to ensure a peaceful exchange," I corrected calmly. "Please take Brittany's belongings and leave." My mother joined him, her expression a practiced blend of disappointment and concern. "Samantha, this has gone far enough. You're clearly experiencing some sort of breakdown. Let's go inside and talk about this rationally." "There's nothing to discuss," I repeated, remaining on my porch while they stood on the driveway. "The boxes contain everything Brittany left behind. Please verify the contents and then leave." "This is your sister we're talking about," my father exploded, gesturing wildly. "Your flesh and blood, and you're treating her like some unwanted tenant." "Exactly," I agreed. "An unwanted tenant who attempted to take over my bedroom and claim my house as her own with your active encouragement." The man from the pickup truck began loading boxes without engaging in the argument, clearly uncomfortable with the family drama unfolding before him. My mother tried another approach, her voice dropping to a whisper. "You know how Brittany struggles. She needs stability and support. This house could give her that. You've always been the capable one, the successful one. Why can't you share your blessings with your sister, who needs them more?" This familiar manipulation had worked countless times throughout my life, triggering my ingrained sense of responsibility toward my less capable sister. But standing on my porch, protecting the tangible representation of my hard-earned independence, the emotional leverage failed. Brittany's struggles are not my responsibility to solve by sacrificing my own achievements, I stated firmly. I worked for 7 years to afford this house. I didn't buy it to provide a solution for Brittany's inability to maintain stable housing." "You've changed," my father accused, shaking his head in disgust. "Success has made you selfish and cold." "No," I corrected. "I finally recognized my worth and stopped accepting the role you've always assigned me in this family." When all boxes were loaded, my parents made one final attempt to enter the house, claiming they'd left personal items inside during previous visits. The officer, who had been observing from a distance, approached at this point asking if there was a problem. "No problem," I assured him. "My parents were just leaving." The meaningful glance between my parents confirmed they understood the futility of further argument in the presence of law enforcement. With final expressions of disappointment and promises that I would regret this decision, they departed. That evening, sitting alone in my reclaimed space, I experienced conflicting emotions. Pride in maintaining my boundaries battled with lifelong conditioning that placed family obligation above personal well-being. Part of me still questioned whether I'd overreacted, whether I should have found some compromise that would satisfy everyone. These doubts dissipated the following morning when I discovered Brittany had published a lengthy social media post describing how her mentally unstable sister had violently evicted her during a psychological breakdown. The post included deliberate misrepresentations, claiming I'd thrown her possessions onto the lawn in the rain and threatened physical harm. My parents shared and commented on this post, adding details about their grave concerns for my mental health and how success and money had changed me for the worse. Extended family members and mutual friends began reaching out, expressing confusion and concern about the situation. Rather than engaging in public defense, I documented the false claims and forwarded them to Patricia, who advised maintaining complete silence on social media. Instead, I contacted a few trusted family members directly, including my father's mother, my grandmother Eleanor, who had always treated me with particular affection. During a 3-hour visit with Grandma Eleanor, I calmly presented the actual events, showing her photographs of the carefully packed boxes and explaining the gradual escalation that led to my decision. Unlike my parents, she listened without interruption, asking clarifying questions rather than making judgments. "I've observed the dynamics in your family since you were a little girl," she finally said, patting my hand gently. "Your parents have always expected you to accommodate Brittany's needs above your own. It was wrong then, and it's wrong now." Her validation brought tears I'd been suppressing for days. Having even one family member recognize the injustice provided unexpected relief. "What they attempted with your house was completely unacceptable," she continued firmly. "You worked hard for what you have. No one has the right to take that from you, especially not family, who should be celebrating your achievements instead of exploiting them." Grandma Eleanor's support extended beyond words. Within a week, she contacted me to share that she had amended her will, removing my father and Brittany from inheritance provisions while maintaining my portion. Though I had never considered her estate in my financial planning, the gesture represented a profound acknowledgement of the broken family dynamics. The wider family eventually divided along predictable lines. Those who had always enabled Brittany's behavior supported my parents' version of events. Those who recognized the pattern of favoritism understood my position, even if they didn't openly defend me against the majority narrative. The entire situation might have eventually faded into uncomfortable family history if karma hadn't arrived with unexpected swiftness. The first ripple of consequences appeared 2 weeks after the confrontation. My cousin Rachel, who worked in property management, called to share interesting information. "Brittany applied for an apartment in our downtown complex," she revealed. "Her application was rejected due to poor credit history and insufficient income verification. I thought you should know she listed you as an emergency contact and personal reference without your permission." I thanked Rachel for the information, requesting she remove my contact details from Brittany's application. This small interaction provided the first glimpse into the challenges my sister faced without her usual safety nets. Additional information trickled through family channels. Brittany had attempted to secure housing at 3 other properties, facing rejection each time due to financial inadequacy. My parents, who had always supplemented her lifestyle, found themselves unexpectedly stretched by suddenly becoming her sole support system. "She's staying in your old bedroom at Mom and Dad's," another cousin reported during a coffee meetup. Your mom converted her sewing room back to accommodate her. I gather it's causing some tension. The most significant development came through Grandma Eleanor, who maintained connections with both sides of the family divide. During our weekly phone call, she shared revealing news. Your father and Brittany have apparently entered a business arrangement with that new boyfriend of hers, she explained. Some kind of specialty food delivery service. Your father withdrew a significant portion of his retirement savings to provide startup capital. This information raised immediate concerns. My father, normally fiscally conservative, had always emphasized the importance of retirement planning. Withdrawing funds early, incurring both penalties and tax consequences, represented a dramatic departure from his established financial principles. How much did he invest? I asked cautiously. From what I understand, nearly $200,000, Grandma Eleanor replied. Your mother wasn't pleased, but apparently Brittany and this young man presented a very convincing business plan. Further details emerged over subsequent weeks. The boyfriend Jason had previous experience in restaurant management, but no successful entrepreneurial history. The business concept targeted high-end clients with specialized dietary requirements, a notoriously difficult market segment with intense competition from established services. The venture launched with elaborate social media campaigns and expensive branded packaging. My parents' home became temporary headquarters, with their dining room converted to office space and garage utilized for inventory storage. Brittany adopted the title Chief Marketing Officer, despite having no relevant experience or education. My father took partial early retirement to serve as financial officer, while Jason claimed the CEO position. My mother, though not officially involved, spent considerable time handling administrative tasks without compensation. For approximately 3 months, family social media accounts featured enthusiastic updates about the growing business. Carefully staged photographs showcased elegant meal presentations and satisfied customer testimonials. Brittany particularly enjoyed her newly elevated status, posting frequent content about entrepreneurial lifestyles and building a family legacy. The carefully constructed facade collapsed spectacularly during month 4. Jason disappeared overnight, taking the company bank account contents customer database and my father's remaining investment capital. The business checking account had been emptied 2 days earlier through a series of transfers to untraceable cryptocurrency wallets. Brittany claimed complete ignorance about Jason's intentions, portraying herself as an equally devastated victim. My father filed police reports and consulted attorneys, but the deliberately complex financial structure Jason had established made recovery unlikely. The business had been legally structured to shield personal assets while maximizing Jason's access to operational funds. The financial devastation was substantial. My father had invested not only his early retirement withdrawal, but also a home equity line of credit, believing initial revenue projections that never materialized. My parents now face significant debt coupled with diminished retirement resources. Grandma Eleanor provided these updates with measured sympathy. I warned Richard about rushing into business with someone they barely knew, she confided. But he was so determined to solve Brittany's problems that he ignored basic due diligence. The situation deteriorated further when Brittany, devastated by both romantic betrayal and business failure, developed what my mother described as severe anxiety that prevented her from seeking employment. My parents, already financially compromised, assumed additional caregiving responsibilities. 7 months after our confrontation, my phone displayed an unexpected caller, my mother. I hesitated before answering, preparing for either renewed accusations or manipulative reconciliation attempts. Samantha, I hope I'm not disturbing you. Her voice sounded uncharacteristically subdued. Hello, Mother. What can I do for you? I maintained professional politeness, establishing emotional distance. I'm calling because... She paused, voice wavering slightly. We're facing some financial difficulties. Your father's investment with Jason has created significant problems. I wondered if you might consider helping temporarily. The request confirmed what I'd suspected from Grandma Eleanor's updates. The financial situation had become dire enough to overcome pride and resentment, driving my mother to contact the daughter they'd effectively disowned. What kind of help are you looking for? I asked neutrally. A loan, perhaps? she suggested, just until we stabilize things. The house needs significant repairs before we can consider downsizing, and our credit options are limited right now. The irony wasn't lost on me. The parents who had attempted to appropriate my house for Brittany now faced potential loss of their own home due to prioritizing her needs above sound financial judgment. "I'm sorry you're experiencing financial hardship," I replied carefully. "However, I'm not in a position to offer loans to family members at this time. Perhaps Brittany could increase her employment hours to help contribute to household expenses." My mother's sharp intake of breath telegraphed her surprise at my refusal. She'd clearly expected familial obligation to override our estrangement. "Brittany isn't capable of handling full-time employment right now," she explained with familiar defensiveness. "The situation with Jason has traumatized her. She needs support, not pressure." "I understand," I responded evenly. "In that case, I suggest consulting a financial advisor about debt consolidation options. Many offer free initial consultations." The conversation ended shortly afterward, my mother's disappointment evident in her clipped goodbye. I felt momentary guilt, followed by the liberating realization that I'd broken free from toxic family dynamics that would have obligated me to rescue them from consequences of their own choices. 2 days later, my father called his approach more direct. "Your mother tells me you refused to help your family during a crisis," he began without greeting. "Is that how we raised you to behave?" "Hello to you too, Dad," I replied calmly. "I declined to provide a loan that would likely never be repaid based on previous family patterns. That's a financial decision, not a moral failing." "We're talking about family survival here," he pressed. "After everything we've done for you throughout your life." "What exactly have you done for me?" I questioned, surprising myself with the directness. "I worked multiple jobs through college while you saved for Brittany's education. I purchased my house entirely through my own efforts, which you then attempted to appropriate for Brittany's benefit. What specifically should generate my financial obligation now?" His extended silence suggested this perspective had never occurred to him. When he finally spoke, his voice carried genuine confusion rather than anger. "We provided a stable home. We raised you to be independent and responsible. Look how well you turned out compared to your sister." "I turned out well, despite your parenting approach, not because of it," I corrected gently. "I'm sorry you're facing financial challenges, but I'm not responsible for solving them. Perhaps ask your golden child for assistance." The conversation ended abruptly, but the exchange felt surprisingly cathartic. For the first time, I had directly articulated the imbalance that defined our family relationships without anger or resentment clouding the message. Whether my words penetrated decades of entrenched perspective remained uncertain, but I had finally spoken my truth without seeking approval or fearing rejection. The financial crisis that had devastated my parents' security had simultaneously liberated me from emotional debt I'd carried since childhood. The first weeks after enforcing boundaries with my family felt simultaneously liberating and terrifying. Freedom from lifelong obligations battled against ingrained guilt about family responsibility. The large house once representing achievement and independence temporarily felt hollow without the renovation activities and family presence I'd briefly enjoyed. Reclaiming physical spaces proved easier than addressing emotional aftermath. I repainted rooms to erase memories of my parents' and Brittany's presence, selecting colors representing my authentic preferences, rather than compromise choices. I rearranged furniture to optimize comfort, rather than accommodate others' expectations. Each change reinforced my ownership and authority over my environment. Professional commitments provided welcome distraction. I immersed myself in challenging projects, earning recognition from senior management, and positioning myself for potential promotion. Colleagues noticed my increased confidence, commenting on my more assertive communication style and willingness to advocate for my ideas. "Whatever changed in your personal life clearly agrees with you," my direct supervisor remarked after I successfully presented a controversial improvement proposal to executive leadership. "You've always been talented, but now you're commanding attention." The most significant healing began 2 months after the confrontation, when I reluctantly attended a company-sponsored personal development workshop. The facilitator discussed family dynamics and their impact on professional behavior, focusing specifically on how childhood roles often persist into adulthood. During a small group exercise, I found myself sharing abbreviated versions of recent events with three colleagues I knew only casually. Their unanimous support and recognition of the unhealthy patterns surprised me, providing external validation I hadn't realized I needed. My sister was our family's golden child, too, one colleague confided. I spent decades trying to earn equal consideration before finally accepting it would never happen. Setting boundaries saved my sanity. This conversation led to my discovering an online support forum for adult children of dysfunctional family systems. Reading others' experiences with similar dynamics normalized my own, helping me recognize that enforcing boundaries represented healthy self-preservation rather than selfishness. Through this community, I connected with a local therapist specializing in family relationship issues. Dr. Martinez helped me examine ingrained patterns without judgment, particularly my tendency to assume responsibility for others' problems while minimizing my own needs. "What you're experiencing is completely normal," she assured me during one particularly difficult session. When we've been conditioned to prioritize others at our own expense, establishing healthy boundaries feels uncomfortable and even wrong initially. That discomfort doesn't indicate you've made a mistake. It signals you're challenging established patterns. Gradually, I developed friendships unrelated to work or family connections. I joined a weekend hiking group, finding unexpected pleasure in both physical activity and casual social interaction, without underlying agendas or expectations. I volunteered monthly at a community garden, enjoying the meditative quality of nurturing growing things alongside others with similar interests. These new relationships demonstrated what healthy connections felt like. People asked about my preferences rather than assuming them. They expressed appreciation for my contributions without demanding more. They respected my boundaries without requiring justification. These contrasts highlighted just how abnormal my family dynamics had always been. 6 months after reclaiming my home, I invested in professional landscaping for my neglected backyard. The landscape architect created multiple outdoor spaces, a meditation garden with water feature, a comfortable entertaining area with built-in seating and raised vegetable beds for practical gardening. This transformation symbolized my commitment to creating environments that nurtured rather than drained me. My career continued advancing with a significant promotion arriving 8 months after the family breach. The new position included both salary increase and expanded remote work options, allowing me to create a proper home office in one of the spare bedrooms. The flexibility to work from home several days weekly deepened my connection to the property, reinforcing its importance as both sanctuary and achievement symbol. Through my expanded professional network, I received an unexpected opportunity to teach an evening course at the local community college, Financial Planning for Young Professionals. Creating the curriculum required distilling my own experience into practical guidance, transforming personal lessons into educational content. Standing before students during that first session, I recognized how far I'd traveled from the perpetually accommodating daughter seeking parental approval. The most surprising development occurred nearly 9 months after the confrontation. A text message from my mother appeared one Sunday morning. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about our family dynamics. I owe you an apology for many things. Would you consider meeting for coffee sometime?" Initial skepticism about potential manipulation gradually yielded to cautious curiosity. After consulting Dr. Martinez, I agreed to a brief meeting at a neutral coffee shop, establishing clear time boundaries in advance. My mother appeared significantly older than I remembered, strain evident in new facial lines, and pronounced gray streaking her previously colored hair. She clutched her coffee cup with noticeable tension as I sat across from her. "Thank you for agreeing to see me," she began, voice lacking its usual authoritative tone. "I've been attending a support group for parents. It's been educational." She explained that financial necessity had forced my parents to downsize dramatically, selling their home and relocating to a small condominium. The process had triggered significant marital tension, with my father struggling to accept their reduced circumstances. "Brittany moved in with a new boyfriend last month," she continued. He seems nice enough, but it's repeating familiar patterns. Your father wanted to help them financially again, but we simply can't. That created a lot of conflict. With Brittany physically removed from their home and resources limited, my mother described experiencing uncomfortable clarity about family patterns. The support group initially joined for help managing Brittany's anxiety had unexpectedly illuminated problematic parenting approaches. "I'm not asking for anything," she assured me, correctly interpreting my guarded expression. "I just wanted to acknowledge that we treated you unfairly throughout your childhood and into adulthood. What happened with your house was completely inappropriate. I'm truly sorry." The apology, while appreciated, couldn't immediately heal decades of accumulated hurt. I thanked her for the acknowledgement, maintaining emotional distance, while recognizing the courage required for this conversation. "I can't promise immediate reconciliation," I explained carefully. "Trust requires consistent behavior over time, not just apologetic words." She nodded, accepting this boundary without protest. "I understand. I'm willing to demonstrate changed behavior if you're open to observing it. No pressure or expectations." And we established cautious communication parameters, occasional text messages, and potential monthly coffee meetings, each explicitly scheduled rather than assumed. My mother agreed not to share my contact information with my father or Brittany without explicit permission, respecting my desire for controlled reconnection. As I drove home afterward, complex emotions swirled. Skepticism about lasting change balanced against appreciation for this initial effort. The conversation represented potential beginning steps toward a healthier relationship model, though significant reconstruction work remained. That evening, sitting on my backyard patio, watching sunset colors wash across my carefully designed garden, I reflected on the journey from desperate family approval seeking to confident boundary establishment. The house that had become battleground for family dysfunction had transformed into foundation for authentic personal growth. The painful lessons learned through betrayal and confrontation had ultimately strengthened rather than diminished me. By defending my physical home, I had discovered my true emotional home within myself, built upon self-respect and healthy boundaries, rather than external validation. Sometimes the house you build isn't just made of walls and wood, but of boundaries that protect your peace and people who truly respect them. What's your foundation built on? If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more stories about reclaiming your power and establishing healthy boundaries. Leave a comment sharing your own experiences with family expectations or boundary setting. Remember that creating a life that honors your worth is the most important construction project you'll ever undertake. Thank you for being here, and may you build foundations strong enough to weather any storm.